Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for joining the session we have today, the 3Gs of leads. Before I get started, I'm going to give you a little information about the Ferguson Elite Dealer Program. I want to make sure you guys have at least a general understanding as far as what's involved in the program, and then we're going to jump right into the session. So as you know, Ferguson has incredible programs for dealers that have a certain volume commitment. So if you are not familiar with this program, I definitely recommend that you get in touch with your sales rep and learn a little bit more about it. So depending on your level of commitment of the sale of day and night products and equipment, you get to participate in an incredible marketing program. So a lot of the things that I'm going to be covering today are part of that program. So as you go through this, just remember you have the ability, depending on equipment sales, to be able to participate and utilize these services in order to be able to grow and build your business. They have a sheet just like this that explains exactly what's included in the program if you choose to participate, and it will explain it in detail. So remember, a lot of these things I'm covering today are part of that. All right, so that being said, we're going to jump right into the 3Gs leads. I'm Jennifer Bagley, CEO of CI Web Group. I'm a trainer and digital strategist, as well as have about 8 years experience focused on the digital marketing sales growth activities for the HVAC industry specifically. So we have an entire team of people in various departments that this is what they do day in and day out. They know the industry inside and out. They understand how consumers buy from across the nation, and that's their job, is to support our dealers in helping build principles, practices, systems, and tools in order to be able to achieve compounding growth in their business. So if you've attended our sessions before, you know we've covered everything from website design to seasonal changes in your business and what that impacts, or what the impacts are on your business, and how to prep for those in advance when it comes to marketing. Today we're going to narrow the focus a little bit and focus on 3 primary items. Now, that being said, in order to truly achieve results with anything in the digital world, there's a lot of predecessors and dependencies, things that have to be done in order to be able to make those things at the highest efficiency. I'll say that, okay? Just like the efficiency of how your team works, the same thing happens on the internet. So I'll briefly go over some of those, and we'll jump right into it. So these are digital marketing strategies designed to increase leads, conversion, retention, and produce compounding results for years to come. If you have not downloaded our ebook, one that you'd particularly be interested in is the Ultimate HVAC Marketing Guide. You can download that for free at hvacmarketingguide.com. Another way to get it is just simply text Ferguson without the quotes to 44222, and we'll make sure you get a copy of that guide as well. So in many sessions, I go through and I talk about consumer buying trends and habits and how they think and personality styles and buyer personas and everything. And so I just want one slide that reiterates all the trainings that I've done. Essentially, consumers buy 2 ways. They do a search online, or they are asking a friend for a referral. And if they get a referral, they tend to validate the referrals online by going and checking out reviews, checking out your website, checking out your social media site, making sure that you look professional, you have what they're looking for, that other people trust you, and many other things. When it comes to marketing, it's no different than anything else, with the exception of this rule doesn't apply. So the rule everybody says, or the cliche is, keep doing the same thing, expect the same results. In the digital world, that's different. Because technology is changing so rapidly, consumer buying trends are changing rapidly, new applications, new devices. I mean, just a year ago, I was talking about how wearable devices, watches, were going to significantly impact the way that consumers shop. Well, this year, so right now, depending on when you're watching this webinar, so for 2016 sales on Amazon, one of the highest technology devices that was sold was AI equipment, which is artificial intelligence. This would be Amazon Echo, Amazon Dot, Alexa is what everybody, if you have her, then you know her as Alexa. She's in my house. She's in my office. She turns on my lights. She orders my groceries. She does everything, right? You also on your phone have, if you have an iPhone, you have Siri. So essentially it means that you're talking to the device. Bottom line is in a digital environment, if you're doing the same thing year over year, your results will actually start to decline, simply because the world around you is changing so fast, so rapidly. So you got to remember, however you think, whatever you're doing got you where you currently are. How you think today got you this far. So in order to get a different result, we got to change how we think. You're going to run across, you guys have the biggest target on your back. You guys are going to run across hundreds and hundreds of people contacting you and trying to give you advice. You're going to go to sessions and seminars and everything. And I get it. It's easy. The fact that I own and operate a company with over 100 full-time digital marketing experts, they are passionate. Remember, I'm a business owner and entrepreneur first. I happen to oversee a group of technical experts, and they are so passionate about what they do that they all believe that it's the number one thing you should do, even in our own company. And the reality is you have to have an extremely extraordinary view of the business goals, strengths, opportunities, weaknesses, threats. Where do you want to be? What's your exit strategy? How long have you been in business? What assets do you have? What's your database currently look like? What are your operations, your logistics, your resources? Do you have enough staff to support continued growth? Are you recruiting new customers? Are you recruiting new talent? Are you mining the databases that you have? There are hundreds of different factors that need to be part of your decision-making process in order to be able to do the right things in the right order at the right time. This takes research, it takes planning, implementation, evaluation, and then refining, continuing to refine that and do more of what works, change with the times as quickly as possible. This is the engine, right? The digital marketing engine. This is a summary. In today's environment, these are your primaries. These are all of the things. If you can imagine, you need to have your funnels. You need to have as many funnels as possible working for you all the time. Because in this environment, if you put all your eggs in one basket, so if I say 5 years ago, for example, I would talk to a dealer and they'd say, all my business is referral business, and I'm fine with that. Well, when reviews came out, the ability for the consumer to leave a review, that world changed. Consumers started not buying into a referral. They're not calling their mother's recommendation or their friend's recommendation. They're going and looking at their website, their reviews, their social accounts, their local listing accounts and reviews before they make the call. So those companies that were heavily or completely focused on generating all of their business based on reviews, they're struggling. No different than advertising. I just got off the phone with a guy the other day and he was the cutest thing on the planet. And he said, well, I don't use this internet thing. I use a yellow book. I got one right here on my desk and I don't understand. It's easy. If I want a plumber, I'll go in the yellow book, look at the category, and I will find me a plumber. And if they're not in the yellow book, why would I call them? And I understand that. I understand it because that was where we were. That has changed. And we're not selling to ourselves. We're selling to everyone else. So right now, I'll give you a really good example. There's a host of companies that have forever relied on Google Business Listings. Remember that. That's one of the G's. Google Business Listings to grow their business. And in one area, around the Sacramento area, Google is testing removing the free Google Business Listings and making them sponsored ads, which is turning it into Google AdWords, i.e. pay-per-click. That's your second G, Google AdWords. So those companies that were relying 100% on reviews and their local listing, their Google business listing on the map because they were physically in that area, their business tanked, and it did overnight. Google is extended from Sacramento to Concord, California, and it's continued to extend from there. So what I'm saying is don't skip it. You can't skip it because as long as consumers are shopping this way, then you got to pay attention and you need to present yourself. You need to get there. You need to be there. But I am saying that it requires a very, very tactical and widespread group of funnels to continue to grow your business. So we got to change with the times, and we need to continue to add on more. We need to continue to do more, continue to do other things. So starting first and foremost, your website and branding. I have these blue ones. So the blue ones are not technically part of the 3Gs. However, they are dependencies. So the things I'm going to teach you today about the 3Gs of leads, if your website is not up to par, your CRM and conversion strategies are not up to par, if your local listings are inaccurate, filled with discrepancies, or missing, the things I'm going to teach you are not going to be as effective. So even though we're going to dive into these things, remember, there are predecessors and dependencies that are going to make your investments into these other areas substantially better, more weighted, higher, more powerful. So we're going to talk today about web content, reviews, SEO, blogging, pay-per-click, and landing pages, which are all connected to the 3Gs. There are other areas that are very important, but we're not going to cover those today. Your website is pretty simple. I always say failure is the opportunity to begin again, only this time more wisely. There's a huge difference when your website is not built correctly. You have slow load times, you have an out-of-date design, your site's hard to navigate, it's unresponsive, it's not designed for optimization. Maybe you hired a designer instead of a developer. Those are two totally different people. One has skinny jeans on, you notice that. So a designer and a developer, these guys are so different. One is actually left-brained. They think. They're focused on clean code rather than visuals. They rely on technical abilities, specifications, and logic, where the other one is very creative, intuitive, imaginative, and they do a lot of their work based on heart and feeling. One has a degree in computer science and programming, the other has a degree in graphic arts. If I added a third one here, that'd be the engineer, and the engineer is all about the data. That's your SEO engineer. When a consumer comes to your website or any funnel, you like my random E here? Blooper. So when a customer comes, this is all they care about. What do you do? Why should I care? How do I believe you? And where do I begin? So you got to pass those tests. All right, so as always, I got to have a poem for you. So it's called The Digital Age Requires Change. Humans are funny little creatures, each focused on different features. They unconsciously make decisions based on first impressions, whether driven by heart, the brain, or their eyes, and sometimes time, or a simple review online may make up their mind. Your website comes to work every day dressed a certain way. Does it make them feel safe, secure, heard, or more educated today? Does it make them want to stay or push them away? Does it showcase you as an expert, an authority, a place they want to stay? Does it work on all the devices they use today? Does it tell a story or is it boring? Does it represent your city, your weather, your mission, your vision, something unique that doesn't taste like chicken? Does it really make them feel like you understand their issues, care about them, and can deliver the perfect fixes? You know it's a priority, but keep putting it off with lots of excuses, the top two being time and cost. If you could just see the lost, you would take those excuses, give them a giant toss. I know. The next excuse is, you've done this before. And you'll have to do it again, but now having the ability to make a more informed decision. Start by avoiding hiring volunteers, fools, family, and friends. So this is all about changing your thinking. Hopefully, I have to make this entertaining because it's training. Conversions. So I mentioned this before. It does no good to do marketing if your website's not designed to convert. Allowing somebody to come to your website, schedule an appointment, leave their details, share a document, call, check their account to see when they last had an appointment with you. Having all of your leads go into a central database that you can sift, sort, filter, tag, where you can export an entire list of everybody who did business with you. They installed a new system but didn't sign up for a maintenance plan. And when you get slow, you have a target audience. Everyone who you did repair work on an older system and you know it needs replaced, you have a list. You can export that list. We can start an email marketing campaign. There's various things we can do to be able to help you, especially during those slow seasons. If all the windows are open and the fresh breeze is blowing through the air, the last thing we want is your parking lot filled with trucks. You can also easily identify, if you use the system right, you can easily identify a list of any segment that you properly measure. Maybe you've done repair work, you've installed a new system, you're doing maintenance, but in your interview, you asked a question, do you have any allergies? If the answer was yes, but you didn't have an opportunity to present the facts that you have great indoor air quality solutions for them, now you have a list. Again, during those slow times, that's something you can do. So your CRM and conversion process is critical. By the way, that is included and part of the program. Local business listings. Okay, this map just wants to give most people a giant headache. And I wish I could say it was easier. However, your primary search engines, Bing, Google, and Yahoo, those are search engines. Then you have local business directories. So if you think about it in the old school environment, Dad said, if you're not in the yellow pages, you're not a valid company. Well, today, this is the yellow pages. All of these. There's a top 70 local listings account. At the end of this, I'm going to tell you, you need to sign up for a strategy session. Let us go through and do some of this analysis for you. So we do reports constantly to evaluate how a business is positioned on Google, and how all their local listings are. When we look at their local listings, these are stats that are based on the number of problems, or the most common problems for companies' local listing accounts. So one, there's always missing listings. So not found, this is not good. We don't want that. Sometimes you actually have a Facebook page, but it's not properly connected to your website and back. Okay. Incorrect phone numbers. We've literally found situations, well, it'll be your company name, your address, someone else's phone number. Oh, and they just happened to work for you in the past, and now they're working for someone else and happily answering all of your calls. Missing URLs, incorrect names, missing addresses. The problem is that Google utilizes your local listing directory as a tool for validating you as a company. Now, there's lots of other issues. Of course, having a wrong phone number or address is probably not good for consumers either. But Google is evaluating who you are as a business based on what your domain registration says on ICANN, which is all the URLs are in a big database, and there's information that's on your account, and that information needs to match what's on your Google business listing. There's one of the G's. What's on your all of your different local listings. That's a predecessor or a dependency to make all these other things work. And what's on your website. And if those things don't line up and match, then you're losing equity in your marketing investments. Another thing that's critical, I've talked about this, reviews. Show me, don't tell me. How can I trust you? Consumer trust. It's the process of letting someone else tell someone about you. That's always going to be more important. That's always going to be more relevant. That's always going to feel like it's more the truth. All right, so let's get into the meat of the 3 G's of leads. I had to do that because those are things that are very important considerations. But let's get down into these. There are 3 G's of leads. Google Business Listing, also known as Google Maps, Google My Business. Google Rankings, also known as organic rankings, search engine optimization, organic listings, what you're ranking a SERP. There'll be some people that say that. For me, it's not an ad, it's not a map, then it's your Google ranking, your organic listing, where the majority of the higher or more savvy internet searchers are going to look. And Google AdWords, which is pay-per-click. Okay, so Google AdWords, Google rankings, Google business. We'll jump right into Google My Business, Google Business Listings, also known as Google Maps or Google My Business. So to try and bring all those together to help. So here's one of our clients in the Florida area, and I wanted to show you and give you a real picture of where they are and where they need to be in order to compete in Jacksonville, Florida. So remember this, a Google business listing, to get on this map, this only works in the city you have a physical and verified address with Google. You have to have a physical address, a real office. Can't use a P.O. box. Can't try and fake the system. That'd be bad. Okay. And the only way your Google business listing is going to showcase in the 3 recommended results is if you have the most frequent, and highest quality reviews. So for every major search in Jacksonville, Florida, there are going to be, when they're doing a local search, there's going to be a map that shows up on the front of Google, and it's going to showcase 3 recommended results. So a consumer, unconsciously, when they glance at this, they have immediate interpretations of who they're going to call. So things they may go through. If you didn't have a website listed right here, you're out. If you don't have your phone number, they're out. If you have the highest number of reviews, lowest number of stars, probably out. The problem is they don't even click. Let's say you purchased a business that had some reputation management issues, and they got a lot of negative reviews, but they're 5 years old. Customers don't drill that far. So in order to combat that, you got to change the math. Now you're getting into just a mathematical equation. What percentage of new positive 5-star reviews do I have to get in order to be able to modify my average? Average in number, average in stars. So here, depending on when I look at this, you want to be very careful. Adding business information or hours, specifically hours, this can help and can hurt. So let's say that potential prospects looking for air conditioning installation or heater replacement, heater maintenance, heater repair, whatever it is, and they go to Google and they see these listings, and it happens to be at 7 p.m. or 7:01 p.m. And these guys set their listing to show that they close at 7:01. These guys have open 24 hours. They do emergency service. And these guys don't have anything on there. Or they show that they're open until a certain time and they have by appointment requests. Who's a consumer going to call if this one clearly says closed? So you want to be careful, allowing somebody to be able to schedule an appointment with you on your website, even though it is 10 p.m., midnight, 2 a.m. That's when a lot of these guys finally have busy. I mean, homeowners are so busy, parents, they're so busy, they don't have time. So a lot of times, getting to their own task list after they've taken care of the job and the wife or the husband or the dinner and everything else and soccer practice, their job, by the time they get to the basics of running their own tasks, I'm sure you feel the same pressure. It can be midnight, and that's when they're taking care of these things. So make sure your website's open and they have the ability to schedule time to talk to you, even if it's in the middle of the night. When you get into reviews, this is a touchy subject. So there are hundreds of review systems that exist. The majority of review systems are focused solely on review acquisition. How do you get the largest number of reviews on all these third-party sites? However, you got to remember, Google business listings, your Google map, Yes, you need positive reviews on there, and there's a specific number you need to hit. You need to have a buffer that's higher than the highest one that's close to you. But then, once you're there, switch gears. There are only 2 review systems that are built with what's called an open API, which gives companies like us, a developer, the ability to modify the code, and integration with Google Schema, which is the ability for us to display these reviews individually as indexable items on your website, optimize them so Google can crawl them individually. Google sees every single review on your website as new content, and we can build landing pages or city pages for every city that you have either checked in, I'll explain that in a second, or received a review. There is only one company that allows you to not just ask for reviews, because quite frankly, not every client you want to ask for a review from, because some of them just woke up grumpy. So you're at a customer's home, you need the content on your site, and you need the page. Let's say this is the first time Braxton's ever done business in Linwood, and the guy's really just not that great of a he's not that happy of a person. So we don't get to ask for the review because we're not sure if it's going to be a good one. But we do get the opportunity to check in, add a picture, add some content. It's automatically going to tell us that you have checked in Linwood. So we get to add a new page for Linwood, Washington, even though you don't even have a review. This is going to help get your website ranked in that city. And then in Duval, this guy was great. I'm going to ask him for a review. I'm going to get this great review. And now I have Duval and Linwood, even though one is just our dealer checking in, and the other one is actually requesting the review while you're on site at the client's location. If you're there with them and you're looking at them in their eyes and you're saying, you go over the thermostat and you show them all the changes and you're training them on how to use it, and then boom, you're like, would you mind if I send you a quick text message and you could do a quick review for me? It's really important at my job. It's really important. Do you think you're going to get a better review because you're there, you're with them, you're having a conversation? And I promise you, you guys, sometimes I'll hear people say, oh, my technicians are not good at it, or, if they're young or they're old or whatever the issue is. Don't worry about all that. Sometimes they just need to hear it from coach instead of dad, because we get our dealers, technicians motivated about getting reviews, excited. We get the young ones engaged and motivating the more experienced guys, and it works. But you don't want to get a review on a whole bunch of third-party websites and not use those as a way to get your website ranked on the top pages of Google outside of the city you physically have an address. So remember, your Google business listing or your Google map, that only works in the city that you have a physical address. Through this process, now we can get your website ranked on the pages or the cities outside of your address. So you're not getting a review just to make you look good and help you convert the business you went out and got. Now you're getting a review. You're acquiring the review. We are optimizing the review, and we are balancing them, meaning that we know where you need the review. We need the review to go to this particular account. You need it on Google Business Listings. Great. Maybe you got a negative review on Yelp, so we need to get a couple positive reviews on there to weigh it out, or to change the math, or on Facebook. But ultimately, when you've got those third-party sites that you don't own and they can change their game anytime, and they do, you do own your website. This will increase the valuation of your business. This is part of how your business is weighted and evaluated, and this is yours. So we want to make sure that we're taking those reviews. We're building local pages based on your check-ins. Very important. That just doubles what you get, and the reviews you get from awesome clients. And we build individual city pages so that you can get higher on Google rankings, which is organic SEO, and you can now turn a review into fresh content on your website, something that consumers love and are going to convert, and a page that's actually going to drive potential new leads. That's big, 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 big. So remember, not all systems are created equal. Acquisition, optimization, balancing. Get it on your site. Very important. So we're going to go into Google search. So on the left-hand side, this is Arnold Air Conditioning, a client of ours in Florida. And I have a snapshot of, this is their key phrases. So this is really, really tiny, but the dark green represent the number of key phrases that we have ranking on page 1, position 1, 2, or 3 organically. I'm not talking about ads. I'm not talking about maps now. We're just talking about organic results. The light green is on page 1, position 4 through 10. This particular account has grown 1,936% in rankings for Google changes and 4,759% in Bing changes. So rather aggressive client. They're going after a lot of key phrases. But even more so, I showed a search result for the city they physically list in. So this goes back to Google Maps. When I do a search, this is what shows up. So who's getting the business here? This guy, 2 reviews, no website. This guy, 2 reviews, has a website, no stars, no stars. So remember, that's very important. You need a minimum of 5 positive, 5-star, 4.8, 4.9 star reviews on your Google Maps account right out of the gate, because that's what allows these stars to show up. So these 2 reviews could both be 5-star reviews, but you won't know because this schema or snippet, the stars, the pretty little stars, only shows up after you have 5. And that's today. So this might change if you're watching this a year from now. All right. So this is one way to capture a tremendous amount of the opportunity for that particular individual search phrase. I'm giving you another example over here. So if I search for AC service, Thunderhead, Missouri, there's only 113,000 pages in this drawer. So because this is a not such a big urban area, this is a little bit more rural, there's less competition. So not only can we get them ranked on page 1, position 1 of Google once, but we can get them on page 1, position 1, 2, and 3, as long as they've got a significant amount of content that is related to those phrases and that location. So very important. Content's what gets you here. So you're going to see, so each one of these, this is a content, this is content, this is content. Each one of these is providing us a different indexable page. So remember, if you come to the table and you don't have a lot of content, it's going to be very difficult to do this kind of a strategy, because Google is, if you only have 1 page related to AC service and it doesn't have the geolocation because you don't have a review system with the location pages, whatever that is, you probably only have a page on your site that says AC repair. What we need is AC repair Thunderhead, AC repair this city, that city, that city, that city, that city, that city. That's why we use the review system to generate new content and new pages. And then we use search engine optimization practices in order to take those pages, drive them up so you can occupy more space. Now you have 3 opportunities, which equals more leads. So for organic SEO, here's the standard. The standard is, if you are on page 1, position 1, 18% of the total people that visit that are going to click through to the first position, the first listing on the page. 10% are going to click through if you're in position 2, 7% position 3, 4% position 4, 3% position 5, and then we get into dismal nothingness. So if you're sitting on page 1 of Google, but you're in 5 and below, which means below the fold, you're not going to show up when somebody first pulls up the page. you're probably getting very, very little traffic or opportunities that come from being on page one of Google. Even though it feels good to be on page one of Google, the SEO team or you got more work to do. Got to keep pushing it up. Now, when you get into page one position 1, 2, and 3 results, now you're dealing in a whole different class of SEO agencies and companies that have bigger budgets. They are adding content more frequently. They are better skills. They know what they're doing. A larger team of people. So one SEO plan, even a small SEO plan, we have a minimum of 4 people working on it. On a large SEO plan, I've had up to 30 working on it on a monthly basis. So you got to have a lot of different resources. Now, I'm not saying that you're paying for 30 people. I'm saying that you need small percentages of time from a large group of experts that do different things. So you can't hire just one person to make this stuff happen. It's got to be, you need little tiny percentages of a whole bunch of different people. Now, that being said, there is a very new and very robust coding structure that is changing this entire model and all the data. It's throwing a wrench in it. You'll notice on the left-hand side, I have an example of a listing. This is out of Dallas. This listing is sitting in a position 5 listing. I think it was 5 or 4 for their search for Dallas air conditioning, heating, repair. However, they're pulling in over 40% of the total click-throughs on the organic search rates because of one thing. When you look at a series of links like this, and then you see this, this is called it's schema, Google schema, not that you care, Google schema for HVAC businesses, which didn't previously exist. This gives us the ability to take those ratings, those reviews, and to map those into the coding structure of your site so that we can force the stars, the ratings, and the reviews to show in the snippet that shows up in front of consumers. So you could literally be sitting right here, and instead of getting 7%, you wind up getting 8, 20, 30% of the total click-throughs. Just because these bright little dingling, dazzling stars and the rating and the number, that's what gets consumers to go, oh, and bypass the normal click-through ratios. So very, very, very important. All of that being said, pay-per-click. We're going to jump into pay-per-click. So this is Google AdWords, the third G. So the first G I talked to you about was Google Maps. And remember, I showed you the map. And I gave you an example of make sure all your eggs are not in one basket. Make sure you're not just doing one thing. I had one of my very experienced HVAC technician, a client of ours, yesterday he said, Jen, what is the one thing I can do and I can invest in to get the biggest impact? That is very scary. You want to be very careful. Awesome question. Love the question. But it's a scary mindset because this world changes so much. This is the example of when I said earlier that a company depended on getting all of their business from their Google Maps account. They happened to be listed in, or their business was in the Corrad? Can't remember. It starts with a C. It's right over here. They're growing. Google decides they're going to implement a significant change in their pay-per-click and Google Maps strategy. Whereas instead of placing the free Google Maps on the front of all the searches in Sacramento, Elk Grove, Rancho Cordova, Folsom, Roseville, Rockland, and now this is stretched out and it's covering a bigger area, they are now putting pay-per-click ads. You'll see it says sponsored in exchange of the free Google Maps. And you have to pay to be here. And you have these little symbols that say Google guaranteed, Google guaranteed, Google guaranteed. And this literally took a company that was so, hard bent on, all I'm going to do is use Google Maps. It's working for me and all my business local and close, that literally tanked in new lead generation overnight and did not have the proper system set up. They didn't have enough funnels. They weren't doing enough activities. They weren't doing social media and local listings and SEO and blogging and content marketing and email marketing, database mining and SEO. They weren't doing enough. They didn't have anything else in place. So literally it changed their world overnight. So Google AdWords 3G, this is what it sounds like: pay per click. So all of the ads that you see here, and now in this area, this test area, which is extending, which makes me a little nervous, in California, those are pay per click. You got to have a budget. Every time somebody clicks on one of the ads, Google pulls money off your card. Might be $3, might be $7, might be $8, might be $18, might be $20, depends on the cost per click. So on one hand, think of this kind of like a mailer. When you used to do flyers, you'd you design a graphic, you would pay for the design, you pay for the print, you pay for the postage, you possibly paid for a list to target a specific community, and you sent this out. And when you sent it out, you already prepaid for everything, whether it works or not, whether every piece of paper goes directly into the recycling bin or the trash, or whether you get one phone call off the ad. At least with pay-per-click, it's like saying that I'm only going to pay the mailer people if somebody actually opens the mailer and looks at it. So the benefit, is it better than traditional advertising? Significantly. Does it have a long-term positive impact on your business? Yes, as long as you keep investing. Once you stop investing, it goes away. So it's not like SEO where you have remnants of things that you've done that can work for a longer period of time. This, in an SEO world, organic SEO, if I write a page of content, I post it on the site and I optimize it, the longer that page is there, the more power it has, the more weight it has, the more traffic it builds. So time actually produces compounding results. In pay-per-click, it doesn't work like that. So in pay-per-click, it's you're either investing or you're not. Now there's very, very strategic methods to be able to make pay-per-click significantly impact your business. And a huge benefit is you can turn it on, you can turn it off, you can scale up, you can scale back. So we have sophisticated pay-per-click programs where in the middle of summer, when our client is busy as all get out, the only pay-per-click ad that they're going to run is for air conditioner and heater installation and replacement. They take everything else out of it, and only in the 10-mile radius of their office or their technician's home, depending on, I have a couple different ones. When it's 70 degrees and windows are open, we'll expand that pay-per-click into a different level, a tier 2, tier 3. We'll reach out to a 50-mile or 60-mile radius, and we may add things that are indoor air quality, service, maintenance, repair, maybe installing generators, whatever the other services are that are not quite as profitable. But they don't want those trucks sitting in the office. So they don't put your trucks in the office. You don't want the trucks sitting in the parking lot. So they're going to keep them busy, and that's how we do it. So we can go up, we can go down. You're investing based on the season. When you're making lots of money, you're investing less. When you're not making as much money, you're investing more, which is why it's very, very important to understand how to price so that you're totally different conversation. You price so your income covers year round. This is my messy landing page, so don't get too caught up. There's so much stuff on here. In order for pay-per-click to work, you don't drive them to your homepage of your website where they can go to your blog, they can go to your landing, they can go to your pages, they can play with the troubleshooter, they can play with the online SEER calculator, calculate their savings, they can go look at promotions. You don't want to do that. In order for pay-per-click to be effective, you need to have an individual landing page for each segment or campaign. So in the summer, you have a campaign for air conditioning installation and replacement. You may have another campaign for air conditioning repair, service, and maintenance. You may have a different campaign in the winter for heater installation and replacement. So each campaign needs to have an individual landing page geared towards the season, the products, the promotions, and it's only designed to convert. That's all it does. So it's click to call phone numbers, it's a schedule. These are all conversion forms. If there is a navigation, this navigation doesn't take them anywhere but down to the area on the page. So very bad for SEO, perfect for pay-per-click. That's what's going to help increase your conversions. You want the people that click on ads, you have minutes, seconds, I'm sorry, to convince them that they got to the right place, they can trust you, other people trust you, and what they should do next, why they should take action today. So you want to make it very simple. It's a complicated process to manage pay-per-click. So as you're budgeting, a portion of your budget is going to go towards your actual ads, your campaign, the cost per click, and a portion of it's go to having landing pages designed, to having your keyword research done, your ad creation, your account setup, tracking installation, performance monitoring, campaign assessments, changes, analysis, feedback, and so forth. So you want to think in those two lines. So for these things to work, it requires content. The 3Gs to get leads, or the RTCs to get leads. You have to be relevant. Relevant means that you have content, images, graphics, everything is relevant to what the consumer needs and is looking for, from an emotional, from a technical, from a personality profile standpoint. So it's not all about what you sell, it's about what they need. Relevant is if they are looking for a specific phrase and you don't have that phrase on your website. So, and consumers are funny. Some of them look for AC repair, some look for air conditioner repair, some look for air conditioning repair. What they don't look for is cooling repair, which I see on HVAC sites all the time. You have to make sure that you are current, which is you have new content being posted on your website on a regular basis. New content on your social media sites. You've got to be current. You can't look like the last time you posted content, not to Google and not to people, was 2 years ago. All that says is they might not be in business. And you've got to be trusted. Third-party endorsements. Very, very, very important. So web content, blogging, this is your voice. Your ability to speak is creating content. Your ability to share your voice with the world is the different media. Your website, your landing page, your blog, your social media accounts, your local listing accounts. Analyze what content performs the best. Link that content. Make it more popular by backlinking. This is not something you guys need to do, but it's part of the process. And another thing that's often left off, update old content. That it needs to be a standard. So wildly important, but the most neglected piece of every contractor's marketing, except for the big guys. The bigger companies get this and they're already doing it. There's a reason they're big. The two things that companies are not budgeting for is having a voice and improving the voice, which is constant and continuous high quality content writing, which is your ability to speak, and going back in time, looking at old content and improving it, updating that content. Give you the best example. I am not practicing what I preach with a specific page on my website. I believe if you search for website project plan, something like that, website project plan template, we're going to be page one, number one out of like 30 million, something like that. And it is the worst page on the CI Web Group website. It is so old. It is outdated. It is old. And I need to update that. And I'm going to keep saying it in webinars until I finally do that myself. It's old, but it's our highest trafficked page. It's old, so it has a lot of power, a lot of weight. Remember, adding content to your website is a permanent compounding interest impact on your business. So if you just add a blog article, is it going to do a lot for you? No, it's not going to. Now, if you post that blog article to an active social media account, it can work for you today, which that should be done. But that blog or page is going to get more weighted and become more important over time. The longer it's there, the more Google is going to trust that content, the more views it's going to get, similar to video. If I did the 4G's of leads, video would be the fourth one. Google owns YouTube. There's how I got my G. So you want to, very, very important, go back and fix that content. If you know it's bad, it's outdated, you either got to write it or you got to pay for it. And the unfortunate part is if you're hiring SEO content writers, they're great for writing for Google. So if no one's looking at your website anyway, because you're not ranked, you're not on page 1, not on position 1, you don't have very much traffic, your website's not anywhere, an SEO content writer, they typically have bad grammar, but perfect key phrase density, which is not great. And they're inexpensive, but high quality content, they're not cheap. Having exceptional content writers, because you got to have somebody that knows how to write, how to edit. They have to know your industry, and they have to know search engine optimization and Google's current requirements. So you're getting into an extremely skilled person to know HVAC, how to write, how to edit, and how to meet Google's current standards. It's so important though. It's permanent. You own it. It's forever. Content can be created in so many ways. Right now I'm creating content, right? I'm doing a webinar. An on-demand webinar, it'll be recorded, it'll be put in YouTube. I may put it into an audio podcast. I may take it and drop it into a blog article. I may post it or retweet it or send it on my social media sites, post it on Google+. So I may take one asset, one blog article, can be republished and reshared across many different platforms. One video can be replayed and reposted across many different platforms. Just remember this. You need to create as many of these funnels as possible, and you need to do it as effectively from a time and investment standpoint. So one asset needs to be repurposed and used everywhere. Just make sure you're not using somebody else's asset. So no duplicate content. You can't go steal articles from other people. No taking content from anywhere else. That'll get you banned on Google. So the goal is I want to attract visitors through incredible content. I want to convert them to customers through. So attracting visitors, that content is geared towards search engines and or social media. Converting to customers, that is trust, reviews, care, concern, personalization of the website, not having it so technical, full of equipment everywhere, but really concentrating on the consumer's needs. Retention. Now you're getting into marketing automation, email segmentation, automated email marketing. And then, of course, picking up the phone and having a conversation. And then taking that customer and being able to convert. Remember, lots of eggs in one basket. Every funnel is going to spit out a little bit. So, don't cut your funnels off. Keep adding more funnels, more funnels, more funnels. So as you go through your strategy sessions, which you should be doing internally, and you should have an external consultant that can help you see further than you currently see, because you've only been as far as you are, right? So sometimes you need to have somebody else come in, bringing in a nerd. When we come in and do an analysis, we run a lot of reports. But every time you have these strategy sessions, twice a year, you should be looking at your reports and saying, okay, how are we doing? What are we not doing that we need to be doing? Start adding the missing elements. What are we doing that's working? Let's do more of that. Remember, you can't stay the same. What are we doing that's not working? You're going to want to decrease that or move it to something that is. So maybe you're going to decrease it, maybe you're going to alter it, or maybe you're just going to move those investments somewhere else to something that is working. But the bottom line is you can have results or excuses, but not both. I always tell our team, I'm like, I need results, not reasons. Results, not reasons. Tell me what we can do to get results. I need continual progress. So I offer you guys the opportunity to sign up for a strategy session with our team and go through and truly do an analysis of what are your core strengths. What can we really highlight? What weaknesses do you have that are preventing you from being where you want to be? What opportunities are out there that maybe you're not capitalizing on? And what threats are there that could potentially be really harming you? I.e., somebody else owns your domain name, negative reviews online, having a website that you're investing in marketing in or SEO in that can't be optimized, having a website that could be penalized from Google for duplicate content or not being responsive or improper coding structures. There are so many potential threats out there, and unfortunately, it takes a nerd to get in there and dive in and pull all the reports and do those analysis. But we can't operate our business with blinders. I have a coach. My coach, Tony Jerry, I mean, I have to open my world up to him and show it to him. And it's his job to identify, what are my strengths? Jen, you're doing great here. Weaknesses, opportunities, threats. It's his job to remove the blinders because I can only see as far as I've been. If I want to get to the next level, I got to have someone come in and coach me. So you're always going to be playing an offensive and defensive game, or you should be. You should be. If you're not playing offensive, I promise you'll play a lot of defense. If you're not offensively or proactively and systemically trying to go publish quality content, that can turn into trying to figure out where your next deal is going to come from. If you are not proactively building, optimizing, and balancing, promoting reviews in the right places on your site, optimizing them for search, then you could wind up with two negative reviews. Two bad clients can ruin years and years of experience in a company. So play offense well so you can avoid having to play defense. But for the things you can play defense with, you got to own all your local listings. Stuff like that, your URL, you got to own it. I mean, you need to make sure no one can come in and instantly occupy something that you should technically own. Those are fundamentals, foundational things that you need to get taken care of. All of the fundamentals and foundational things that you need to have that are just, these are gimmies. These are, in today's world, you got to have these things. Those are included inside the Ferguson's Elite Dealer Program. We try and really tackle those fundamentals, and that way you can concentrate on doing the things that are necessary to continue to grow the business. So we'll talk through the X's and O's of business strategy and really help you put together a plan. So I recommend sign up for a strategy session with our team. We've got incredible consultants. You can do that by just going to ciwebgroup.com. At the very top, the SWOT analysis is actually up there. There's a link. There's one for advanced and one for SMBs or small businesses. If you're bold, take a stab, fill it out, and you can go through that process. That's me. I would tend to want to do that on my own because I want time to think about it versus during a strategy session, but not everybody's like that. So if you want to sit down on that strategy call and complete the SWOT analysis with one of our consultants, you can absolutely do that. Send an email over to sales@ciwebgroup.com. Shoot us a text message just by texting Ferguson to 44222, and we'll reach out to you. Set up time. It is a power hour to really focus on you and your business and come up with a plan and a strategy that's going to help you take your business to the next level. With that, I greatly appreciate you guys attending today. And for those of you that are watching the post-webinar archive, thanks for taking the time for watching the video. As a reminder, we do these trainings every single month. If you register for the training, even if you can't attend, but you register, then you're going to get a copy of it. At the end of the session, you guys are going to get an email. We really appreciate your feedback, so please tell us what we can do to improve. But you also have an opportunity to earn ICP credits. You're going to get a Q&A at the end. There's 3 questions, so I'm going to help you with these real quick. We're just going to slide this in. One is, what are the 3 G's of leads? Google AdWords, Google Maps, Google Search. What are the 3 ways to leverage reviews? Acquire it, optimize it, balance it. Means post it to the right location. What are the top 2 ways consumers buy? Online and referrals, baby. And they validate their referrals online. So easy questions. You got this. You got to be live to earn the credits. So you have to have attended and taken the session right now at the live event. That's the only difference between registering and attending live or watching the recording afterwards. So with that, we appreciate you, and let's knock this out of the park, man. It's a new year. Let's get going. So thanks so much for attending, and we will see you shortly.